Hey, this is Chris from Bellows Intent, and in this video we are going to be learning how to store the Folklore and Pilgrimage expansion to An Age Contrived, specifically the Collector's Edition or the Founder's Edition. So let's dive in and see how it works. Once you have unpacked the shipping box, you will have three different boxes. You'll have this brown cardboard box, which may or may not be empty, depending on if you had any add-ons with your expansion. You will have this white packaging here, which contains the mechanical player boards. And then you will have the expansion box itself. So we will dig into the latter two of those. So I'm going to unwrap the packaging here that contains the mechanical player boards. And we will find two of these inside. So I'm not going to take out these components right here, or right now in this video. I have a whole video dedicated to the assembly of the base game and how to assemble these mechanical player boards. I'm going to include a link in the description to that video, and I'm going to ask you to go there to assemble those two mechanical player boards, and we'll come back once they're done. So we'll take a look at the base box next. All right, gonna open that up. I mentioned in a previous video that this is a trick that I picked up from my good friend Fabian, who will take off only the back portion of the shrink wrapping and leave the shrink wrap on the rest of the game box for some extra protection over time. Don't always do that, but I do enjoy it. All right, so now that we've taken that off, a few things that we'll see in here first are the rulebook, 5 new player aids. These will completely replace the player aids in the base game, so you can hold on to those if you want, but these are consolidated versions of that player aid. They are a little bit larger, and they contain all of the base game rules as well as all of the expansion rules and characters in Folklore and Pilgrimage. We're going to have some cards. In here is also where, if you have it, the Folklore Beyond Pack cards would be included. Board, a new score pad for including 2 new characters and new scoring categories. Just a protective sheet. And then other components here, kind of non-printed stuff for the most part. So in this, we've got the metal frames for the 8 shrines that come with the game. We've got energy tokens for the 2 new characters, miniatures for the new characters and for the existing ones for the 2 expansion modules in Folklore and Pilgrimage. And under that lid to this tray, we've got the deck of Folklore cards. And importantly, under this base tray, we've got another protective sheet and then the punch boards that come with this expansion, as well as a new sticker sheet that comes with this expansion. So set those aside, take out these punch boards, and that is all we have. So I'm going to go ahead and punch these. I'm going to unpack all of these bags of source components, sort them out, and I will come back once that is all done and we can learn how to store this box. Once you have punched everything out, you will have a collection of components that looks like this. You can find in the rulebook the correct quantity of everything and what all components are called. I am going to point out a few specific things. Firstly is that I have assembled the 2 mechanical player boards that come with this expansion for the 2 new characters, Valamod and Kurnari. So that is done, and like I mentioned, the instructions for how to assemble those are located in a different video linked in this description. I have also organized those 2 characters' components into their specific player trays, which is also covered in that base game video. So here we have the components that are specific to those 2 characters. Notably down here, we've got their channel markers, the cardboard version, and if you have it, the metal version. And each character, expansion ones included, but the 5 base game characters as well, comes with some new miniatures. One pilgrim miniature. I won't fish it out here, but 1 pilgrim miniature and 3 artifact miniatures. Now those are small enough to store in the base game tray for each character as well, and that is what the intended storage for them is, such that they're not in a separate location that you need to pull out if you're using either the folklore module or the pilgrimage module, but they're all in one tray. So those miniatures for all of the characters look like this. I've got these in a separate tray here, but once you put all of those into their respective character trays, the 7 characters, then that's where they will be, that's where they'll live. Okay, so we've got those mechanical player boards, we've got the player trays assembled. I have gone ahead and sleeved all of the cards. If you happen to have sleeves, you can do that as well, just to show how the game is stored with sleeves. But if you are not a sleever, if you don't have sleeves for your game, then the storage for these cards will be even simpler than we'll cover in this video. And what else? We've got the 8 new shrine frames. If you have the Founders Edition of the expansion, you will also have 2 cardboard player boards. I'm going to set those and the a bunch of the flat cardboard and paper items aside for now, because those will be the last items that we assemble into the tray. So I'm going to come back with the box in front of us and we'll go from there. Here we have the box bottom in front of us, populated only with these trays. And the first thing to cover is how to apply stickers to these trays. There are a few places for stickers. One of the features of this Folklore and Pilgrimage expansion is that it eases the storage burden of the base game. So some of the components that are in the base game that are a little hard to store, they are going to move to this expansion box, which will make the game overall of An Age Contrived easier to set up, tear down, and have a bit less fiddliness with that. So first, we'll take a look at this lid to the base tray, and I will just move the base box out of the way to get a little more contrast. So on this lid, we're going to store a few things. We're going to store all of the metal frames. So in this channel here is where the new shrine frames are going to go. There are 8 of those. And on this sticker sheet, there are a couple stickers dedicated to them. They are these ones down here. So if you peel those off and you put them anywhere in this channel, that can just serve as a visual indicator that that is where those shrine frames will go. And all of these 6 base game frames are going to be stored in the 6 slots around those. I'm going to pull those frames into the video a little bit later on, but for now we can just take a look at which ones go where, and we can look at the sticker sheet as we do. So in this leftmost compartment is the Fortress Monument, so if you can place one of those stickers there. The next one, in kind of this counterclockwise order, is going to be the Library, so you can place one of those there. The next one is going to be this blue beacon. The next one will be the purple portal. The next one will be the red ship, and the final sticker down here will be this dark green forge. Okay. The position of those doesn't really matter. In addition, there are 2 rows of these stickers, but you only need 1 of each, so there is a duplicate of each of these. If you're not happy with your final placement, you can always go back and replace them. Just of note that these stickers for the mechanical player boards you will have already used by this point. I'm just demoing this video with a spare sticker sheet that I have, so these will already have been removed once you've assembled those player boards. Okay, so let's move this lid out of the frame for a moment and bring the box bottom back into view. Okay, now in here there are just 2 stickers to place. One is this here, which shows ad infinitum on it and the infinity logo for that particular expansion. Now, if you have the ad infinitum expansion, its components can be stored here. If you don't, those can just be left empty, no worries. In either case, there is a sticker here for that expansion that can be placed on this panel here. Should be plenty of space for it. And likewise down here in this area of the tray, there is space for this sticker here, which represents the pilgrimage module of the Folklore and Pilgrimage expansion. There wasn't room in the tray to have a sticker for every single component and where it goes, but there was space such that I thought, well, if we have the opportunity, let's just label a couple compartments to make things slightly easier with restoring components in the game. Okay, so once you've applied all of those stickers, you should be good to go. On this sticker sheet, there are also a couple stickers for the two new characters. Those are purely cosmetic. There was a little bit of room on the sticker sheet, so we threw those on, but you can, I don't know, put them on your laptop if you really want, or put them wherever you want, or you can just discard them. Okay, now we've got a empty tray here, and we can start assembling these expansion components that we have. Once we've put as many of these in as we can, then I'm going to pull in some base game and ad infinitum components that we can see where they go as well. But first up, we can start with the folklore cards. Now, like I mentioned, these are sleeved, which more or less doubles their total thickness. If you have them sleeved like this, you'll just want to divide them into two roughly equal stacks. You can divide it by character as well. There are 6 or 7 for each character. And you can put them into the two outer compartments like this. If you have not sleeved those cards, then they will just fit in one of them and the other one can be left empty, which is even easier. These scoring cards here, there are 8 of these. They can fit right down here in this compartment, sleeved or unsleeved. These boards here, these 7 folklore boards, they can go right above those. Then over here, we've got components for the pilgrimage module predominantly. So we've got 2 of these bridge tokens. These are neutral bridge tokens that get used when you are playing with the pilgrimage module. So I'm just going to flip those over and put them up here. We're going to add the 5 base game tokens to there in a moment as well. We've got 6 monument patron tokens. Now, this is a revised rule from the base game, and the tokens are revised as well. So this backside is the same, but the front side has some additional iconography to show the new rule associated with these. You can feel free to discard your base game monument patron tokens. These ones are full replacements for those. So those are going to go in this compartment over here, matching their shape, that little square. Then we've got 16 of these doubler tokens separated into 2 stacks of 8. Those are going to go right in here. Okay, this is a solo token for the solo mode of the pilgrimage module. It's going to go in right there. We've got 8 of these shrines in a stack that's, magnetically stuck together. Those are going to go right there. And then we've got 4 of these blockade tokens for the pilgrimage module as well. We're just going to pick those up. Those are going to go in this loose compartment here. So those are the expansion components that go in this base tray. Now you'll also have 4 new of these larger size cards. These are going to get stored with the cards of the same size that are in the base game already. So we'll come back to those. I'm going to set them aside. And then we've got our 2 miniatures here. These are going to get stored in the lid of the tray that goes on here. But I'm going to pull in some base game components, so we'll see how all of those fit into this base tray as well. Here are the components that I've pulled in from the base game, predominantly off to the right, and from the Ad Infinitum expansion. And it is essentially all of the loose cardboard components from both of those things. So we are going to start placing those in, and I actually want to start with these tray pieces from the mechanical player boards. In the base game, these had to be stored loose, kind of nested inside of the mechanical player boards, but in this expansion, there is dedicated space for them. So if you can group all of those together, you should have 7 of each of these longer pieces and then 14 of these shorter ones. So 1 for each character of these and 2 for each of these. And we're going to start placing those in. So they can just go upside down like that, those longer pieces that have kind of that extension at the top of them. And then these long, thin ones, they can go in either orientation next, like that. And then the shorter arms, they can go upside down as well. There is a groove for them on the right side and a groove for them at the far left side over here as well. So I'm just going to get those into a neat stack and put them in here. Okay, those all look good. Next, we can start putting in some base game tokens. So I mentioned these 5 neutral bridge tokens that we can put in. Those can go together with the 2 from the Pilgrimage module that we already placed. We have 5 cardboard tokens for the Divine Winds module. Now there's only one mistake, one thing I missed with the design and approval of this tray, which is the storage of the metal versions of these Divine Winds tokens. I would have loved to have them have a separate compartment in here as well. The simple, honest truth is that I forgot and I missed it at several checkpoints, so that's on me. Now there is plenty of space for these tokens in this tray. We're going to get to that in a minute, yeah, just to note that there's not a dedicated compartment for the metal versions of these, unfortunately. So if you have those, I do apologize for that. But let's move on. So the first player marker will go here, and there is space for the metal version of it as well. So that would have been ideal for these, but unfortunately not the case. Okay, 6 of these monument benefit tokens, they are going to go in here. 6 of these achievement tokens will go in here. Then we've got these solo tracker tokens. Now they are so small, kind of like these ones over here, that they don't have dedicated spaces, but they just go into that slot. And then the monument randomizer tokens, together with one of them has a different back because it's used for solo play. Those will all go right in here. Okay, so that's base game cardboard components done. Now we'll move on to the Ad Infinitum expansion and start putting some trophy pieces in first, get those in there. And then that expansion comes with both non-magnetic, which are in there now, and magnetic versions of those trophy pieces. So those are going to slot in there. And then the remaining tokens for this expansion all have dedicated compartments. So additional achievement tokens. These are again divided into 2 equal stacks, kind of like these doubler tokens here, and they get placed there. Okay, so that is everything in this base tray populated. Then we will put the lid on it like so, and then we can add a few more components. So I mentioned the miniatures are going to go in here, and there's only 2 of those, the character miniatures. There's only 2 of those, and the slots for them work like this. Pretty straightforward. It should be quite obvious if they're fitting well or if they're not, because they'll just drop right into their compartments. The Metal Divine Winds tokens, there is plenty of space for them, like here, or like anywhere here. There's like basically a big empty cavity in which they can go there. The monument frames from the base game, so I've pulled those in, and we're going to start matching them to the stickers that we placed earlier. So this fortress is going to go here where the fortress sticker is, and these go with a specific orientation. It doesn't really matter too much. It'll be quite obvious whether they fit like this, or if you rotate it this way, then it's not meant for that way. So you just kind of slot these in, and it's quite straightforward given that they're rectangles. It's quite easy to see how they fit. The only one you need to be careful of is the forge frame, which has this big bendy guy here. You're going to want that facing or at kind of the outside of the tray in order to get the mechanical player boards on top of here. Okay, So that is done. We'll move on to place a couple more components in here. So there is space for the player trays of the two new characters like that. Those are placed kind of within this lid. And then we can move on to place some of the cardboard and paper components. The next one that gets placed is the pilgrim board here. And if you place it on top, you'll notice that it will fit snugly. It's kind of bounded around all four sides. And next we are going to place the mechanical player boards of the two new characters. So just like in the base game, these are going to be stored upside down. It's kind of the best way to do it, given that they've got these pieces that come up here. So I'm going to start with this one, and that is the one area where you just need to pay attention to this thing. If you just dump it right on top, it might get caught there. It's really quite straightforward just to get that off to the side. You can pull it or just go in at an angle, but either way, it'll be quite obvious once this is sitting flat. And then the next one on here. Okay, so the two new characters are fully stored in here. The 5 base game mechanical player boards will remain in the base game box. And from there, you can store the remaining paper. So we've got the new score pad. I'm probably going to store mine in the base game box, so I'm not going to put that in here. Then 5 new player aids. Again, those could go in the base game or in the expansion. It doesn't really matter. And then we can move on to the, if you have the Founders Edition, these 5 player boards here and 2 new character boards. Now we did make this box deep enough such that if you have the Founders Edition of the base game and you therefore have 5 cardboard player boards for those base game characters, there is also space to put those in here as well. I know that was something that was really quite tight in the base game box that we wanted to alleviate, so you can put them in here without your box lid having any lift to it. And lastly, put the expansion rulebook on top. And well, you can't see it from this angle, but this is nice and flush, so we can close this up without any issue. Okay, so that is storage of the Folklore and Pilgrimage expansion. Let's come back and see how the base game box looks as well. Here is the base game box and how it is looking. So as I mentioned, each of the base game characters has their pilgrim miniature and their 3 artifact miniatures stored inside of their player tray. Otherwise, what changes here is not much. It really is just alleviating storage by removing components this box. One exception to that is that, as mentioned, these 4 new full-size cards are going to go in here. You can use the quick start cards or you can mix those in with the 5 cards from the base game characters and then randomize between all 7 characters in the game if you would like, and then a couple new cards for solo play. Just a quick note that all of these cards are sleeved, so just to note that they all fit sleeved in there. One quick tip that I realized after publishing the game is that if you save some of these tokens that you punch out of the transmuter tiles here, you can actually use those to block off spaces on the game board depending on your player count. So certain spaces are inaccessible if you're playing with, I think, 2, 3, or maybe even 4 players. So if you save some of those, you can just use them as little convenient blockers. So I decided to do that. Otherwise, everything goes back in here as outlined in that base game video, and the 5 mechanical player boards are stored the same way. They're stored upside down like this. There's no storage of those cardboard pieces that attach onto these. And then from here, we can put on the game board. I've got that off screen. I won't bother putting that on, but new score pads, game board, and then everything will fit here. Just makes it a lot easier to put away. That wraps up how to store your copy of Folklore and Pilgrimage, but if you have any questions or if I missed anything, just put it in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But otherwise, happy gaming.